Hey, this is Derek Jordan. Welcome to the World Fusion Show, where we bring you the leading innovators in world fusion music. Today, we are joined by Loire Cotler, who is a rhythm vocalist, and she has a very special way of singing, which you'll get to hear very soon. Welcome, Loire Cotler, to the World Fusion Show.
Thank you, Derek. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I'm so glad you could join us today. And I just wanted to start by giving our audience a little taste of what you do with your, as a rhythm vocalist and what that means, because it's not the normal way of singing, that's for sure.
Thank you. Well, you know, it's not the normal way, but it's also a very old tradition. But the not normal part is that I'm putting together so many different styles and genres and getting into it in that way. So, did you want me to demo? Is that what you were asking?
Please do.
Oh, okay. Sure. Oh, so this is the drum language from South India, and it sounds a little like this. I'll do a quick demo. So there's always a clapping pattern to indicate the time cycle, so that there's this relationship between the breath and the pulse, and that's sort of what is the life art and the life work of it. So something like this. So it's just an 8-beat cycle. So it's
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, I'm just waking up, so I don't know.
Hey, it sounds pretty cool to me. And I'm sure our audience's mind are already blown by that. So let's get into it now. A little bit about your background. What was it like in your family growing up with music? What was your first exposure, and what got you into music to start with?
Oh, that's a beautiful, beautiful question. Music was always on in my house. So there was definitely a wide-ranging exposure to all kinds of music. But, you know, there was always also a piano in my house. I was very, very lucky to be in close proximity to an instrument. And nobody in my family played, but my great uncle was a great pianist, although he never pursued that route. And so I think that very early on, my first music teacher in the Suzuki method recognized that I had a natural born ear for sounds to be able to reproduce what I was hearing. And so, you know, wow, it's such a big question. I'll take up the whole show with it.
No, please don't.
But I think that's, no, I know, but I think that you know, the real core of it is that I was born this way.
Well,
I think I just didn't really have a choice. But the main thing is that how lucky I was to have parents who believed that this was just, you know, just as important of a path as, say, being a doctor.
Yeah, that's great. So you went to NYU, you got a degree in music therapy also, right? So
did, yeah.
Do you use that still?
I do. In everything that I do, not just my teaching, but I use that understanding and that deep conviction that music is healing and music is therapy. Music can also be therapeutic just as much as it is in its very core a healing force. And so whether I'm teaching or also approaching a project, whether it's a composer's music or my own music, there's always that streaming forth.
Yes. I would love to go to our first video. And in this one, you are singing your wonderful style, rhythmic style, with a kalimba. in the background.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go right to the video and
Okay.
check this out.
Ta din ta din ta ta din ta din ta din ta din ta ta kiri ta din kiri ta din ta din ta ta din ta din ta din ta din ta ta kiri ta kiri ta din ta din ta ta din ta din ta din ta din ta ta kiri ta din kiri ta din ta din ta ta kiri ta din kiri ta din ta din ta ta kiri ta kiri ta din ta din ta ta kiri ta kiri ta ta kiri ta din kiri ta ta kiri ta kiri ta ta kiri ta din kiri ta ta kiri ta kiri ta ta kiri ta din kiri ta ta kiri ta din kiri ta Tadimi tongu tongu tadimi tongu tadimi tongu tadit tadina tongu tadimi tongu tadit tadina tongu tadim tadit tongu giri 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 tongu giri 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 tongu giri 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 tongu giri 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 tongu giri 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 tongu giri 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 tadit tongu giri 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 tongu dinna dinna din ta giri 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 tadit tongu giri 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 ta giri 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 tongu dinna dinna din ta giri 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 tadit tongu giri 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 ta giri 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 tongu din ta giri 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 tongu din ta giri 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 tongu dinna din tongu dinna din tongu dinna Takudinadin, takudinadin, takudinadin. Kiri dikidari kiri dum, kiri dikidari kiri dum, kiri dikidari kiri dum. Takudinadin, takudinadin, takudinadin. Ta kiri dikidari kiri dum, ta kiri dikidari kiri dum, ta kiri dikidari kiri dum. Takudinadin, takudinadin, takudinadin. Ta di kiri dikidari kiri dum, ta di kiri dikidari kiri dum, ta di kiri dikidari kiri dum. Tong kiri dikidari kiri dikidari tong kiri dikidari kiri dikidari tong kiri dikidari kiri dikidum. Ta di tong kiri dikidari kiri dikidum. Ta di tong kiri dikidari kiri dikidum.
All right, we are back with Loire Cotler. Now, I think that's a great introduction to the Loire Cotler experience. I think people will really dig that. I play kalimba a lot, and I play it a lot on the show, and it's just sort of nice to hear you work with the kalimba as well. Yeah, it's great. Now, you made maybe more than one trip to India, and you've studied, obviously, as you said, this Indian style of vocal percussion. Tell us about your travels to India.
Well, you would think that I traveled there a lot more than I have. The most recent and only visit that I had made to India was a couple of years ago, actually, and I had the great fortune, the great honor to be invited by Chitravina Ravi Kiran. Absolutely mind-blowing artist in every single way and human being. He developed a system called Mel Harmony, which, again, that could be a whole other show. and he invited me to perform at the Academy in Chennai. And which I would say that would be considered like the Juilliard of the Carnatic world.
Right.
And I'm not normally nervous about performing because, again, this is all about, the gift of sharing and connecting. But I was a little nervous about performing Konokol there. And it was absolutely, it was thrilling, really, and beautiful, and just to be there and connect, using this tradition in this sort of as this modern woman, anyway. So,
yeah.
But yep.
So I'd love to go to our second video. And this one, we're going to take a little stylistic turn. This is a piece called Lamento, and you're singing in a more normal, let's say, singing style. So tell us a little bit about this we're going to see.
Yeah. Well, the thing about this is, first of all, it's from an opera, which is by Jacob TV, a Dutch composer who is just, groundbreaking in so many ways. And I've had many performances with Jacob. And in this video that you're speaking of, this really taps more into a kind of call to prayer. This was the only scene in the opera that had no digital multimedia installation. And so if you can just imagine the context of being part of something that's a multimedia opera, and then all of a sudden this moment happens. And I would say that this was a very personal, well, I won't speak too much about what I'm singing, but in a lot of ways, drawing from my background of the John Coltrane sort of call to prayer, improvisatory spirit, more subtle dimensions that we exist in, but tapping into the pulse of a lot of pain and suffering that's going on in our world.
Yeah. Let's go to the video and watch this. All right, we're back. That's just beautiful. I love that. So I wanted to ask you just to share with us a little bit about your vision and philosophy and what you're trying to bring to the world through your voice and your music.
Very early on, something in me understood that there's this other world of sound that we're experiencing, but we're not necessarily processing through our thoughts or through our conscious thoughts. And, just even just vibrationally, I could always feel, I was just a sensitive soul, I guess you could say, and always felt that there was this other story going on from what we might have been told or might have been thinking through thoughts or words. And I believe that other subtle plane led me to this sort of wordless experience and this sound experience that is beyond the words. And so, but more than that, is that the rhythm and the pulse of all of that. And so while that is going on, there's also this connection to play with the rhythms and that I was experiencing just naturally in the world. And so, of course, you go through all the training of music, but this foundation never left. This never, and it not only never left, it never gets old. It never gets boring. It's always new, and it's always magical, and it's expansive, and there's just infinite possibility of what can happen between a downbeat and an upbeat. And so that's the space that I explore, and that space is really about us. So, it's not really even about me or my philosophy. It's about all of us. It's about being together and sharing the space.
That's great. Thank you. That's lovely. So I'd love to go to our next two video clips.
Okay.
The first one is something you call Warp Speed, and the second is a film thing that you did with Hans Zimmer. Do you want to say just briefly about that?
Well, the warp speed, some of these videos were just posted and they came my way. And so I believe that's the one from Symphony Space in New York City, where I was born. Well, I wasn't born in Symphony Space, but but that would be something. I was born just up the street, actually down the street and east in New York Hospital.
Yeah.
So it's always been wonderful to make music in my hometown. But that's from a performance I did with Glen Velez in, I don't remember the year, maybe 10 years ago or so. But it was an example, a beautiful example of how the Konokol, or the drum language, shifts for me depending on the instrument. A lot of people that are more traditional with that style will notice that my articulation might just sound a little bit different than the traditional. And, Glenn always makes a joke. It's because I'm from New York, and it's my Long Island Jewish accent,
right?
But which of course could be true. I always try to bring that into everything, but really, the drums that I was learning how to do this very specific style on were the drum that you're going to hear now, which is the rick. It's the Arabic or the Mideast tambourine. And you'll notice that the articulation, especially Glen, there's nobody that plays like Glen. His articulation, but also the articulation of this instrument, it has such a crisp sound. It's so front. It's so much in the front. So I immerse myself into that sound. And then what happens is the technical aspect of doing these syllables. Not only do I spend so much time just on every single syllable, every single shape, I push forward to get a more crisp sound and to kind of gel with that instrument so that it's really locked in and tight and that has that sound. So I think that this is a pretty good example of that one.
Yeah. Now I should mention you're married to Glen Velez.
Oh yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of Glen, and Glen has been on the show as well. So, but also you've really been very, your work with Hans Zimmer has been very inspiring to you. Do you want to say something about that?
How much time do we have?
Not much.
Okay, because, Hans Zimmer, it's been a life-changing experience for me because in addition to all the other aspects of music that I've been doing, it's always been a dream of mine to, not only work with Hans Zimmer, but also to be doing music for film. But I never really did any outreach to do that because that's just not how I've done. My career never unfolded because of outreach. It just unfolded because I was, following my bliss, and I'm actually pretty, introverted in a lot of ways, introvert, extrovert. And Hans is beyond being the most unbelievable film composer. He's a very beautiful human being, but also one of the highest artists I ever got to work with. And so I've expanded as an artist and as a human because of this work. And so I'm so forever grateful for that.
That's great. Let's go to the videos now. All right, we're back. That's very cool. I like that. So I'm so sorry, but we're running short on time. But I wanted you to talk about just a little bit about your new CD, 18 Wings.
18 Wings is another, lifelong dream, I guess. But maybe not lifelong, although it feels like it's taken a lifetime. To number one, to perform music that that is very near and dear to my heart, but with Glen and Howard Levy and Eugene Friesen. So Trio Globo, their trio, I've been so inspired by them for so long, and I have learned so much from those artists. But the record, the most important thing that I want to share is that it's a tribute to my father, who died 30 years ago. And so the release of it being now is not a coincidence. The fact that I released it during the pandemic that we're in now, it just felt like it was absolutely the right time to put it out there. I feel that this music is just purifying, and I hope that it has that effect. But yeah, so
that's great. Thanks. So Loire Cotler, I just want to thank you so much for joining us today on the World Fusion Show. It's been great to have you share your unique vocal style with our audience.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you so much for having me and for, inviting me and for welcoming me into your world.
That's great. Well, thank you for being so
Our
generous.
world.
Our world. That's right.
Our world.
And we're going to actually feature one of the songs from your CD coming up next. But thanks again for being here.
You're welcome.
Okay. Hey, all right. This is Derek Jordan. Thank you so much for joining us today on the World Fusion Show. It's been just great to have you. And I want to send out a big thank you to our sponsors, to Mackenzie Family Charitable Trust, Dean's Beans, Chris Pratt, Nancy Feinberg, Ron Dans, and Jeff Green. Thank you so much for your generous support. Thank you so much for joining us. Share this episode with your friends, subscribe on our YouTube channel, and all that good stuff. And remember, think globally, listen locally, and support independent music.
No one here loves me or understands me. Oh, what hard luck stories they all hand me. Doom ta kita, doom ta ga di mi, doom ma ta doom kita, doom ta kita, doom ta ga di mi, doom ma ta doom kita, doom ta di kita taka doom taka di mi doom ma di mi taka doom kita taka doom ta di kita taka doom taka di mi doom ma di mi taka doom kita taka doom ta di kita doom naka ta di kita doom ta di kita doom ta di kita doom ta di kita taka doom naka ta di kita doom ta di kita doom naka ta di kita doom ta di kita doom ta di kita doom ta di kita taka doom naka ta di kita pack up all my care and woe. Here I go, singing low. Bye, 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 blackbird.